Nadia Nakai has had a super mega tough 2 years in the public eye.
I've done a lot, like I've done reality, I've done my businesses. But the reason why I'm able to do that is because of music. So I can never forget about it. It's the main thing. That's like my spine.
Yeah.
I can't move without it. There's nothing else that makes sense without having the music still being the main thing, which is my spinal cord. You know, also like when someone says, who do you want to collaborate with makeup? I'm just like, collaborate how? Like, what are we doing exactly?
What does that mean?
What does that mean? The first thing for collaboration, yes, is I'll automatically think music.
But the rapper and TV star found a way to turn lemons into lemonade and put it all in the music. Today, I speak to Nadia about bragacy, bereavement, and still being that. What's up, everybody? I'm Helen Herimbi-Moremi, that's HHM, and this is a Helen Herimbi-Moremi podcast. And this is the podcast where I get to sit down with people who make me go, people who interest, intrigue, and just make me want to get all up in their business. And today, one of my faves is here. Today I get to speak to Nadia Nakai.
Yay! Thank you so much for having me.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? You look gorgeous,
good.
by the way.
You look gorgeous.
Thank you.
I was telling Dylan, who helps with the podcast, that like when the girls come, I feel like I need to like have a face on. And
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Because the girls always put in some effort.
Yeah,
and then
guess
I feel
so.
like I show up with like
But
my
if you have
glasses
great
and-
skin, you have great skin. I can already see
I'll
you
take
have
it.
great skin.
I'm gonna take it. But I think maybe I usually ask people what intrigued them, but this is a really good segue because we're talking about skin and talking about makeup. Because the last time that I saw you was at your Naked Without event. And I had never been to an event like that for a musician, like where it's like you're giving demos with your makeup artist on like how to put on like lipstick or foundation or any of those things. And I remember, first of all, before I even go there, how's that journey going? Are you enjoying being an entrepreneur in that lane?
Enjoying it's it's relative, to be honest, because it's a lot of work. It's not like how I worked with all my other brands where there was like a big machine behind it and I kind of came in with just the creativity part of it. I have to really like learn a lot of things like logistics, making sure that things are getting delivered, and sometimes the delivery people don't want to deliver to certain areas, and I'm like, what do you mean? So you know, like those kind of trials and tribulations that go through being a business owner. But it's exciting also because of like the idea of where it could possibly be in the future if I keep just persevering. And it's something that I enjoy. I use makeup every day. I've always got something going on where I need to have my face done, and I know how hard it is to be able to do your own makeup without the skill. Like I'm a makeup artist, so I wanted my product to genuinely be giving you the final amazing finished look, but without having to do a lot. So like my foundation has full coverage. You don't have to beat and conceal and bake
and all of the
you know, you don't have to do all of that. So yeah, it's exciting. It's cool.
What's that audience like? Because I feel like just sitting there at that event, those girlies like came dressed to the nines, the lashes up to here. They're very serious. Which is a bit different from like a music crowd or even just I mean, you haven't been just hip hop in a long time, but like, you know, hip hop crowds is like, we're chilled. And these girls are like, not. Do you feel like the audiences in those two different lanes of yours are super different as well?
No, because I feel like I make music for the girls. So like the girls that are pulling up to the shows also look like that with hair, makeup, 80-inch weave, looking amazing. I mean, I did my listening session recently and I ran a competition on social media for 2 people to be able to come in to the listening session. And when they pulled that babe, there was the baddies of the baddies. I was just like, wow! It was really, really nice. Yeah, so it was, so I think they're very similar, to be honest, but I find everything that I do, there's always like an overlap, which kind of makes sense. Like my music will be this core crowd. But then when I release my clothing brand, they kind of trickle into that. You'll see the same people. If I'm doing my makeup, it'll trickle into that. You'll see the same people. So I recognize everybody because that's kind of like the fan base that I've been catering to for many years.
Yeah.
So they're bad. All of them are bad.
I love that for you. And it's interesting that different people come to you for different things, right? But one thing I observed at that event that you had was someone from the audience asked you, who would you like to work with?
Yeah, and I said Nandi Ngoma. Or Nandi Madida.
Yes. But initially, before you even answered, you were like, do you mean like from a music perspective?
Yeah.
And I just went like, oh, you're still thinking about yourself as music first. Do you genuinely feel like music is like your everything, like your foundation? You think about it before you think about anything else?
Yeah, I mean, you always have to keep the main thing.
Yeah.
And like I've done a lot, like I've done reality, I've done my businesses, I've always branched out into other things. But the reason why I'm able to do that is because of music. So I can never forget about it. It's the main thing. That's like my spine.
Yeah.
I can't move without it. There's nothing else that makes sense without having the music still being the main thing, which is my spinal cord.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always the first thing that I, also like when someone says, who do you want to collaborate with makeup? I'm just like, collaborate how? Like, what are we doing exactly?
What does that mean?
What does that mean? The first thing for collaboration, yes, is I'll automatically think music. And I wouldn't mind doing music with Nadia Madida either.
Yeah.
So we can just do a whole campaign.
I mean, I think she did 2 really great songs with KO. I know she does music on her own, but like I'm just thinking about like a rapper, singer.
Yes, combo.
I think that would be really, really dope. But I was very like pleasantly surprised to hear you talk about music first at that time. Because I was also wondering like, what are you going to do for your next album, right? And obviously you've just put out Bragacy. And I fully expected that the album cover would be like you with your shimmer and like, your foundation and all of that because you have that brand. But you went a different route. You decided on an illustration. Why?
African Ginger is an amazing illustrator. I bumped into his work at I See a Different You's house. Well, one of the twins was shooting something for a campaign at his house, and he had these amazing African ginger portraits that were in the house, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need this, I really need this. And I contacted him, and initially I was just getting it done for my house. So he made the actual picture, the frame is in my house, so he creates the image, and then on the glass he paints on it, so that writing all over it is actually painted on the glass, so it creates like the kind of like depth in the picture. And I was looking at it, I'm like, this picture is too deep. It has to be my album cover. And then that's when I decided to use it as my album cover.
Yeah.
But I also thought he's Seth, his name's Seth. Seth is such an amazing talent. Like when you speak to him, you just feel like, am I creative enough? Like, are you allowing me to use your work as my album cover? And you actually feel like it's worth it because he's such an amazing artist and he's so professional. And when you speak to him, you can just see that he's unlocked in like different dimensions of life.
Yeah.
So so I was like, oh no, I'm gonna go a different way. And also this album, in my head, Winnie Mandela was constantly like in my head, So that picture just feels like iconic political, like it feels like you'd put it on a flag and just be like, I'm Fazi, you know what I mean? And that kind of resilience of women is a kind of golden thread with the album. So, and they say I look like a young Winnie Mandela. So I was like, I'll take it.
Do you remember when that like Winnie Mandela in your mind started happening? Like, was it just like, I'm trying to draw strength from somewhere, and then she came into your mind, or like, how did that?
I wasn't intentional. I think working on the project and just dealing with the topic matters that I was dealing with, grief, overcoming, trying to find myself, get back to who I was before this trauma. She just kind of like manifested in my head, Yeah. And initially, I even wanted to take snippets of her rallies or when she's talking about something so powerful to put it into the album. But then I thought, okay, no, let me just keep that as a personal innuendo for me with the album. But it was just, I don't know how it happened. It's just, she just constantly just comes into my head when I'm thinking about resilience and perseverance and pushing through hardships and making it on the other side. And she had haters too.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, well, I mean, there's so much history behind it. There's a lot of things that obviously happened during that time, but I'm just talking about her resilience. That part, that aspect is what I'm inspired and I drew inspiration from.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Before we like get into the music, I do want to talk a little bit about the actual album cover, right? Because you know the eyes, Chico, they don't lie.
Yeah.
The eyes are also the window to the soul, right? And I feel like you having X's over your eyes, like symbolically is like death.
Yes.
But also it's like, I don't want to see and I don't want to be seen. Is that what you were trying to do, or am I just being like someone who studied art?
I think it's definitely someone who studied art, but then listening to you now, the interpretation of it makes sense, because when I first worked on this album, it was a tribute album. And then, oh my gosh, it just feels like a full circle moment, because while I was working on it, I realized, no, this album is actually not about Keenan. This album is about me.
Yeah.
And it graduated from being a tribute album to being a journey album. And me living again, I guess, like trying to figure out what this is and what this looks like for me. And when you listen to the album, you hear all of that. You hear the pain, the acceptance, the realizing, then becoming who I was before. You know, like recognizing this person again and finding myself again.
Yeah.
So when I see the X's on the eyes, it's definitely from an artistic standpoint, because I was Seth. But now that I think about it, I feel like sometimes things just work perfectly in your favor. Like the fact that I got Seth to do that and he interpreted it, that he chose that picture, and that was later on me deciding that that's going to be my album cover, I think is very telling, you know, of a divine intervention or like a spiritual guidance that's just been happening, especially with this album. Like when people ask me, explain this album, I'm like, it's just a spiritual thing. Like you have to listen to it, and I don't know how to explain it. Like,
but try.
You know?
Because like I said, you released it like 2 minutes ago, so some people haven't heard it.
They haven't heard it.
Yeah, what do you mean when you say it's like a spiritual?
It's a spiritual journey, because I became so curious about the spirit side of things after I lost my partner, because he was there.
Yeah.
And I wasn't as curious about it before. Like I knew there was God, and I knew there was Jesus, and I knew the Holy Spirit, and I knew that. But with this album, how everything was, what's going on there? What's happening there? Does it exist? Is there a place? Is the spiritual realm? Do they have like their own stores? Like what's happening? You know? Yeah, like what is going on?
Like the Diamond Walk.
Yeah, is there like a diamond walk or whatever? And, you know, you end up having dreams of people. Like I dreamt a lot about Ricky as well during that time. And I felt like Ricky would come to me in my dreams to check if I'm okay. Because those are the conversation I was having with him. And you'd wake up and you'd know like, no, that can't be just a dream. It was too lucid. It felt too real.
Yeah.
When you woke up, and I'd call Bianca. And I'm like, Bianca, I had a dream of Ricky, and this is what he said, and this is what he was, and it felt so real. And I feel like I was just thrown into the spirituality aspect of things like deeply. And I also, I was seeking spiritual guidance. I went to healers. I went to mediums. Which is so crazy, because I was so angry at God that I went to everything else but him until later on in my journey, and I went back to him. And he welcomed me back with open arms. And everything just kind of clicked again. But at the beginning, I was so angry at him. I felt like he had forgotten me. Like he had forgotten me and left me behind. So I started trying to find, you know, like, do I need to cleanse? What is this? And I don't come from that type of spiritual background. You know, or even religious. We were just kind of vibing out, to be honest. Like, you knew about God, but we're in a family that always went to church, you know? So then I became curious about things that I wasn't supposed to be curious about. I felt like I was opening doors to things that I wasn't supposed to open doors to. And then I was just like, you know, no, I needed to find myself back to myself. And that's what was happening during this project. So when I say spiritual, it's like spiritual curiosity, spiritual awakening, spiritual guidance. I'm not going to say spiritual understanding, because I'm still trying to figure it out, but a lot of it was guided by the Spirit.
Yeah. That's so interesting to hear you say, because I feel like for a lot of people, they can probably relate to that. Like, I went looking for every single thing and trying to like be like Jesus plus one, Jesus plus crystals, Jesus plus mediums.
Sage.
Yeah, and then eventually you come back to like, it's just Jesus.
It's just Jesus.
It's just that.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious about like, why did you want to go back to your old self? Like, why were you not thinking, what is this new Nadia? Like, what made you want, is it just a comfort thing?
I think it's a comfort thing, and it's also the only thing I recognize, because I can't recognize my new self because I haven't seen what she looks like, if you know what I mean. Whereas remembering my old self is what I thrive to go back to, because my old self, I was happy.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm genuinely, naturally a happy person. And the space that I was in was so dark.
Yeah.
So I couldn't be hopeful of this darkness molding me into a future me and what that would look like. I just wanted to go back to what I was before I found myself in this space, you know, being content with like living alone and not being scared, or, you know, and I'm not even like saying scared of like fear of my life, but scared of like the spiritual things of things. Like I was scared. I was like, oh my God, like I need to sage, I need to burn incense. And some people say, don't burn incense, you're going to welcome spirits, you don't need to, yo, guys, you know, when you live alone, now you're just like, yo, when you see that shadow in your house, you're just like, you know, like stuff like that. So I just wanted to go back to what I was before all of this, because I knew how happy I was. I was content with my life. I was happy. I wasn't looking for anything. And I felt like I started looking for things in the wrong places. I started looking for comfort with the wrong people. And I started welcoming people in my home even that I never knew and I never would have. And I don't know your energies. I don't know you. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I was so desperate for connection. I was so desperate for like stuff I never was desperate before.
Yeah.
You know, I never cared for before. And that's where I was just like, oh my gosh, these energies are freaking crazy.
Yeah.
So seeing my future self was hard to like imagine what that looked like, because it just looked bad in the moment.
Yeah.
So my future self was probably even worse in my head.
But I'm,
you know
I'm
I mean?
really glad that you went back to a self you know and you like, because as much as I feel like it is going back, it's going back to retrieve and then go forward.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that, and you and I have discussed this a few times in the last few years, I feel like when you made the Braga EP in 2016,
Girl, I don't know.
Okay, years ago. I feel like you were in your most you space. And I don't know if that's because obviously your name is Nadia, but your alter ego is Braga. So you're like being this person that like you're most comfortable as.
Yeah.
And then obviously in 2019
was the album.
Yes. Yeah. Then you put out your full length album that has your actual real life name in it. And to me, that sounds like, here's this alter ego I wanted you guys to see. And then also I wanted you guys to see me with my album. Is that like a fair way to kind of look at your previous work?
Definitely, because Naked Without, not Naked Without, sorry. You see the overarching branding. Everything must make sense.
Yeah.
Nadia Naked was me trying to strip away all these barriers that I created for myself. And I think we spoke about it before, because that's always been the connection with the name and the album cover. Because, I mean, there's always this conversation of, oh, Nadia's always naked. I mean, even now. Nadia's always naked. Nadia's always never wearing clothes. Oh my gosh, she's doing this and she's doing that. And I was just like, guys, okay, you want Nadia naked? Here's Nadia naked. This is who I am. It's got nothing to do with how I present myself to you. Yeah. Listen to the album. I talk about my mom. I talk about my family. I talk about my loves. I talk about my pains. I talk about growing up. Like it really, that album was actually more me than Braga C was, because I was reflecting on my whole life from childhood with Nadia Naked. Yeah, Nadia Naked.
It's called Nadia Naked.
Yes, yeah. That was for me as from childhood to where I was in that place that I released that album. Whereas with Braga C, it's the past 2 years and going forward with my life. If you know what I mean, from now until the day that I pass away. You know? So so I think this is just the new me, as opposed to what that album was and the EP. The EP, I would just say it was a tastemaker. I mean, I just signed to Family Tree, and I was just like, no, I need to drop something. I need to have a project of some sort out there.
Yeah.
And then Nadia Naked was just like the big baby. And I felt the weight of that album.
In a good or a bad way?
Very good way.
Okay.
Very good way. I felt like that's why I didn't release an album for 6 years. Honestly, it feels so long because I was just like, yo, that album is still powerful to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's still very strong. I put my all into it. And working on Bragacy was a very different way of working for me. Like, the first album was just me and my producers. Like, I would write and record, write and record. This one, I had a lot of collaborators. I pulled in writers, I pulled in sessionists, I pulled in producers. I had 3 or 4 boot camps where I had like a house with 6 rooms, and each room had a different genre, and I'd bounce and you know, it was very open. That's why this album, when you get to go through it, very diverse. Yeah. Very diverse. It's like there's something for everybody on this project. As opposed to my first one, it felt like it was catering to the hip hop crowd. Yes. There wasn't a lot of playing around musically. Yeah. Whereas with Bragacy, there's a lot of playing around. So it gives me a different energy. I feel like when I look at my first album, it's like golden browns. When I look at Bragacy, it's a lot of blues and whites and aerial cloudy vibes. Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah. And I really like you and your gone bag as well.
Yes.
I feel like there's something there that I feel like I want to hear more of. But you know, like there's something to be said about like what we name things, right? Like your Braga is an identity. Your Nadia Naked is an identity. And Bragacy is an identity, right? Like you are so tied to AKA, right? I know someone on another show was saying, no, it's because it's a mixture of Braga and legacy. I was like,
not so much.
So can you tell the people why you named it this?
So Bragacy, I think, was something that became a thing in these past 2 years. It was never like Bragacy because obviously Keenan had Megacy. And the Megacy supported me so much, and I think my fans and his fans kind of merged and they created this Bragacy. And the reason why I called the album that was an ode to thank the people that held me down, because they really did. Like when they would post me and him in old videos or old pictures, that was just sometimes hard to see and sometimes so comforting. Like there'll be days where you're actually so happy to see that. And even now when I went to go get mascara, this lady's like, oh my gosh, she was fighting for me to get to her till. She's like, are you okay? Are you good? I'm just so happy to see you in the face. And I can see she's Bragacy. That album is for her because she's asking me, am I okay? She doesn't know me. She took the time to fight for me to get to her till so she can say, babe, we love you. Are you okay? So this album was for them. Just like, guys, I saw you guys. I heard you guys. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Because you actually don't know how much you contributed to my healing. Like, they don't understand it. Like, having people seeing your pain and wanting to just tell you, babe, you're going to be okay. Yeah. Is more that I got from my own family, to be honest. So, shout out to the Bragacy. Y'all did that.
I think it's also the power of music, right? Like sometimes we take it for granted that, oh, I'm just famous. I'm just doing this thing. No. Whereas for someone, it feels like I really know you. And it feels like I really care how you're doing.
They do.
And it feels to me like even you having that interaction at Discam, you're in a better place to receive that from someone without breaking down, right? And I feel like a song like No Problems is like a very clear, like when you see me progress.
Yes. Like, please don't come and miss my energy.
Yeah.
For real. That song was with Gemini Major. And Usanidaro means don't do that to me in Shonas. Like, don't do that. Like, please. You know what I mean? So don't come and miss me when you can see I'm moving Usanidaro. And obviously always paying homage to where I originally come from, you know, even though they fry me all the time.
Why do they fry you?
I think they feel like I don't claim them enough, but it's difficult for me to claim them because I didn't grow up there. I wasn't born there. I mean, you wouldn't even have known that I have Zimbabwean heritage if I didn't mention it. And every time, like now, this will probably piss them off again to be like, and I'm like, guys, you know, I had to like even fight for when I got nominated for BET. Initially, they announced it as Zimbabwe. And I said, no, You can't. I'm South African one. And if you say Zimbabwe, you're taking away from Kiki Badass, who's in Zimbabwe. She's building the industry in Zimbabwe. She's active in Zimbabwe. She's making music in Shona. Like, she deserves to be the first person that's nominated for BET representing Zimbabwe, not me, because the industry I'm building is here in South Africa. This is my home, you know? And I think there's always this fight between South Africa and Zim, like how South Africa has a thing with Nigeria. There's like an underlying always issue happening, you know. And I'm just like, guys, I can't rep a place that's not my home, you know. But I respect it. I respect its influence in my music. I respect its influence of the woman I've become. But you know, this is what it is. I'm South African, and I can't pretend like I'm not to make you feel better. You wouldn't have even known what was going on if I didn't mention it, because I wanted to celebrate it. Celebrate the diversity of me. But this is home, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I thought Sandidaro was like an island something. You bring back your island, your patois, that I really like when you do. But I think also, now that you've said it's Shona, like in Zim, there's a huge like patois influence as well. So that makes complete sense. Was this the only song you worked on with Gemini?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I know you guys are frequent collaborators.
We are. It was the only song I worked with Gemini. And it's so funny because I'm so close to Tsecho, and we're talking about it now, saying we've never been on each other's albums. Like,
why
never.
Is that?
You know what I think it is? When you're so close to somebody, you forget the music aspect of things. You know, like there's a time when Keenan said, you'd be so surprised how me and Nadia don't speak about music. Like, we'd record together. We'd make songs together. There are songs that we've worked on that aren't going to come out, but for personal reasons. But when you're so close to someone, there's so much more to talk about than that. So when I'm working on a song, as much as I respect Tsecho's music ability with everything, and I'll have him in sessions, but sometimes I forget that Tsecho, I forget, and I think he forgets to think of each other. You know what I mean?
But
in that way.
Wait, you do have Tsecho on.
So More Drugs doesn't count because More Drugs came out as a single.
Okay.
And then when I worked on the album, it then added onto the album. But initially when we did that song, it wasn't for an album. We just worked. We've worked on songs before, but More Drugs wasn't an album song. It obviously just got added on. And same thing with him. Like the songs that I've been on with him were just songs. They weren't actually purposely for the album during making the album, which is crazy. So then
you need to do like a joint EP.
Yeah,
because you guys already have a podcast.
Yeah,
so you should like just do a relationships.
I know.
EP. Like,
I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah,
I respect him so much as a musician. He's so good. I think he's an amazing person, and he's one of my closest friends. So I would definitely be down to do an EP with him.
Yeah,
he's cool. I would do that.
Yeah. One of the things I really enjoy on this album, on Bragasi, is like your voice. I feel like there's a depth to your voice right now that feels like you've settled into. Like, do you feel that way, or do you feel like, no, I'm making my voice like this when you're rapping?
No, I'm not making my voice like this. I don't know if it's settled into my voice. I know I've heard how my cadence has changed over the years, because I mean, when you're young, you sound different, you deliver things differently, and I'm more confident with how I want to sound on songs. But the other thing like when I'm listening to my project, you know, like when you're rapping, there's like a personality that you put into, like, oh my gosh, yeah, you know, like, you know. But with this album, it was so difficult to do that. I literally was speaking.
Yeah,
I was speaking because it was exactly that. It was like a therapy session. So sometimes people are like, oh, I wish you added more energy here and here. And I'm like, I couldn't do that. It wasn't that type of project. I wasn't trying to entertain you with the way that I deliver things and say things with emphasis on this and that. I was speaking to you guys.
Yeah.
I was speaking to you as I would speak to you right now. And it is what it is. And I'm just like, now that I'm listening to it and I'm in a better place than when I was recording the music, I was like, oh shit. And maybe I should have delivered this a little bit more like this, and like how I normally would have tackled the song before. And then I just actually forgave myself and I said, babes, nah, you weren't there. It wasn't about how I delivered it. It was just the way that I was speaking. And maybe that's why it sounds like I'm more settled in my voice. Because I was speaking in my voice. I wasn't even trying to put a pizzazz on things, you know?
I really respect that because I feel like the song title's not coming to me now, but it's where it sounds like you're reading a letter. And you're talking, specifically to AKA, right?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, for me, he's AKA. Like, I can't be like, Kinan. So for me, it feels like you wouldn't be on a letter. Like, on a letter. Weird.
It's weird.
But there are places where I feel like you are still that B, and you like make it very clear that that's who you are. And even like the way you're doing ad libs is different. There's a specific way you do the uhs on Spitty Pitty.
Oh yes.
Then I'm just like, what? Where's the next verse? Where's the why do you only have one verse?
Because Nomuzi's on the second one.
But it's a short song.
It is a very short song.
For a third.
But the album is actually very short as well. It's got 13 songs, but it when you listen to it, it runs very quickly. And that was intentional because I feel like people have a very short attention span. I mean, this TikTok age where if you don't get them in 30 seconds, sorry, doll, you're not going to make it. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of the times where I hear a song on TikTok, when I hear the full song, I'm just like, just give me those 30 seconds that I enjoyed from what I was seeing on TikTok. So it was intentional that I didn't want to have very long songs. I wanted songs that were very quick, palatable, and not draining. Because I feel like people aren't listening to projects the same way anymore. You know, they're not listening to full bodies of work, and I'm not trying to feed you too much and actually bore you at the end of the day because your attention span is dismal. You know, so it was very intentional for my song to feel very quick. Initially, I added 2 more songs. Initially, I wasn't even going to have 13 songs. I think I was going to do like 10.
Oh.
And that would have been extremely... And then when I listened to it, I'm like, okay, no, this is too short, Nadia. Respect yourself. And then I added 2 more.
That's interesting. What were the 2 that you added
Talk, which is with the Quellas. And what's the other one I added?
And it ends the album.
Yeah, it ends the album. That's why it was there, because when I did my track listing, I couldn't find a place for her anymore. And then, actually, I took it out again. There was another song that I did with Manu Worldstar, Lucas Raps, and the Quellas as well. And
that's not shots in LA.
No, it's not on the album even. I took it out again. But that one was, it had a Destiny sample. And I just didn't want the stress of...
Like Malaika?
Yeah.
Why didn't you want...
The stress of clearing that. Haven't you seen them fighting on podcasts and stuff? Yes, I was just like, yo! So I was just like, I'm not trying to stress myself, so I took that song off again.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was probably just talk, to be honest.
Maybe release it as like a mixtape, something. Then you don't have to pay
for
it.
I want to do a deluxe. I do want to do a deluxe album because I still am so sad that I wasn't able to lock in Amifaku.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm such an Amifaku's fan. Like, I just can't with her. And she's got
really great.
And she's sexy. Like, I don't know if she knows, but she's got like this sex appeal going on when you see her.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely love because it seems like she doesn't recognize it. And that's like the best type of sexiness a woman can exude. But so I think I want to do a deluxe and finally get her into studio for that deluxe album because I'm sorry.
Now it has to happen because you've said it on camera.
I've said it over and over again. It has to be in the universe.
Yeah. But I really feel like I need to hear more of that PT energy from you. Like, I feel like you're 100% in your bag. But I think for the most part, or let me say for me, I've known you over a decade. Great relationship. I've known Nomuzi also maybe over a decade. Great relationship with her. But there was a time when you would drop in bitches, like #. I mean, I feel like that's a pretty iconic line. And I think nobody thought you guys would reconcile. And obviously, like, the passing of AKA would be like, oh, obviously then they reconciled. But as much or as little as you want to share, how did you guys become like, okay, sharp, let's be friends? Because you guys were definitely not friends.
We weren't, and Keenan made that happen. How crazy. I feel like that's why I'm always convinced that Keenan's spirit knew he was going to go. Because the things that he was doing and the way that he was moving, like the last couple of months before he passed, were like he was being led by the spirit. I don't think he consciously knew what he was doing, but his spirit knew that he was about to go home. And we were at the club. So it had always been awkward for us because obviously Keenan and her ex-boyfriend Spuda and all of them, like they were all like cool, they were all
Yeah.
click, and I was always like the outsider. But now that I was dating him, there were times where we were kind of forced to be in the same spaces, and it was awkward because we wouldn't greet each other. Or like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I'm not going to her birthday. What do you mean? Or like whatever the case is, you know? And he was that guy that was just like, you guys need to sort it out. We're at Nostra.
Yeah.
And he was just like, this is bullshit. I'm sorry. You're not going to greet each other. Like, please. He's like, you guys are going to sort it out right now. You guys are going to talk and tell me what the hell is going on and fix it right now in the club. And it was literally like that. And that's how we spoke. And we kind of didn't speak about what the issues were. But I think we kind of just like, babes, this did the issue also because it's mad childish now. It's been so many years. And it was probably based off things that weren't even true. She probably heard things about me. I heard things about her. There was always like a third person that kind of caused the rift. There wasn't a direct one-on-one issue.
Yeah.
And I feel like Keenan did that, or Keenan Spirit did that because he knew how much I was going to need her.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, babe, that girl.
You call it twin on the song, right?
Yeah. Me and Blanco twins, but like we're not though. I was just saying because we're the baddest bitches or whatever. But as human beings, the way that woman is so selfless.
Yeah.
And she's so powerful and she's so strong. I was just like, oh my gosh, so this is the person that I never got a chance to know for all these years. It was so fucked up for me.
Yeah.
As a human being to not have been able to experience her. And when I did, I was just like, she was such a huge support system. Huge. And I feel like if we were on the outs and then Keenan passed, it would have made it so hard to be around her. Or maybe it would have brought us together. I don't know. I don't think it would have though, because in that space, there's a lot of things I didn't remember. I don't remember seeing people. I don't remember this happening. When they remind me, I'm like, that happened? What?
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of a blurry situation. So I don't think that would have been the time for us to reconcile, but it would have been mad awkward if we didn't. And it made it so much more special that we did because of Keenan.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one else brought us together. It was him. And
That's
it was
so
just,
great.
it was wild. And I was just like, yo, it's like he was making sure everything was fine for me. Like, like just make sure.
It's really great because,
Yeah.
Muesli is really great energy.
Yeah.
Earlier you spoke about destiny and not wanting to go through the trouble of clearing it. But there are other parts on this album that feel familiar. That's all.
Let's not talk about it.
And I mean, let's talk about it later.
Okay, yeah, we go.
Because it's the song title also, like Missing You, right? Like if you are my age or older, you'll think about the Set It Off soundtrack. And first, like, I know the parallel that I draw that to, but why did you want to go with that as like the interpolation on?
Yeah. So to be honest, that song was a gift from Zex Bantini.
Oh.
So he made that song, he produced it with another producer. And he said, babes, you need to record on the song. Like, I know what's going on in your life right now and I know what's happening, but you need to do it on the song. And I was like, okay, great. I have a song from Zex Bantini. Let's start there. And then I hit up Shakana and I was just like, babes, we need to do a song. And she just like, she's such a talent. She's so amazing. And she made it so spiritual again for me. Like what she was saying in the chorus is just like, babe, I couldn't have gotten anyone else to interpret that the way that she did. She made it so chef's kiss.
Yeah.
But it genuinely, that song was a gift to me. I think he was trying to contribute to my healing and reminding me that this is where you should be putting it. Whatever you're feeling, this is where you should be putting it. And yeah, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
You gave me a perfect song.
How long did it take you to start writing?
Yo, babe, this whole project was crazy. I think that's what people don't understand, because like with piano, they can churn music out so quickly because it's just different. Whereas with the type of artist I am, it takes very long to work on projects. And I can't say I start and then I finish the same day. It will take months on end because I'll be revisiting the song. I'll be changing things. I'll be doing this. I'll be doing that. Consulting with Shakana, because we never recorded the song together.
Oh, okay.
She sent her stems through and then she had to communicate with my engineer, and her engineer had to communicate to make sure that, you know, her presets are right in the way. Like, so there's always back and forth. So I can't even say how long it took to write. It took forever.
Yeah.
Because it's not a thing like I always say, like Namin, I redid that verse 3 times.
Really?
Yeah, I did that verse 3 times. Like it took a lot to get to where it was.
Why?
Because you know, when you're in the studio and you're having a good time, you record for the fun of it, and then you listen to the song, you're like, no, I think I want to do on the last 8 bars a little bit of an easier flow so that people can just, vibe to it. And then you change it again, and then you realize, okay, now the first verse doesn't really make sense with the second verse, so now you have to change it again. And that's what happens because you workshop the song. It takes a while for it to get there. Whereas that's why they're always like, oh, hip hop, they're not releasing as much and what. No, doll, it's not like this, okay? It's not like this. It takes time. It's like writing a book. You're going to get a writer, you're going to get a co-writer, you're going to get a person that's going to check your spelling and your grammar. You don't just write and release a book today. Slicker, dog, tell them how long it took to do this. It's the same thing,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can't even say how long it took to write.
But it feels to me like you love process because your makeup and skincare line, it's all process. You were saying to me off camera, excuse me, that you have 9 shades, but you want more.
Yeah.
And you're doing it like at your pace, but you're working towards it. Even when you were working with Red Bat and Sports Scene, that was you doing a process. You're like, and even with this album, you're saying it took you time to get into that. What is the key to not giving up, specifically when you are grieving?
Sure. How Helen. What is the key to not giving up? To be honest, for me, giving up was committing suicide. And I knew that if I did that, I wouldn't go to where he was in the afterlife. That's what I'm saying. Spiritual conversations were a lot during this period because I thought about it a lot. But I knew, like, if I did that, I wouldn't end up where he is. So the alternative is I need to live. Like, I need to wake up every day and continue doing what I was doing before. I need to continue pushing, and I need to continue making music, and I need to continue giving fans what they need, and I need to continue doing reality shows, and until the day I die, and I get to see him again. And I think that's the only thing I can say is the key to pushing forward during grief. Is that, baby, you have no other option. You can't go to where those people are until it's your time. So you can't sit here and rot. You have to get up and do things until that day comes and you get to be reunited with your loved ones. And I think that's the key, is just waking up and realizing, babes, you're living. Live,
That actually also reminds me of your place in the canon of South African music. Because for the longest time, it was just you. It was just the girl rapping is you. And I specifically mean that in a mainstream sense. I don't want anyone being I was rapping too.
No, there was Cuba, Super, Miss Intabi, Godessa, we got you.
But I mean like in a mainstream like sense. And I think to be here all of those years, it's not by mistake. It's not like you are intriguing for a reason. But you also spoke about like this desire to live is also kind of linked to you got to give the people what they want, right? There's a line, I feel like I'm going to butcher it, but on Missing You that you say, been losing hope. Do you remember the rest? Because you rap it better than I do.
Been losing hope. No.
I got to keep pushing.
Got to keep the fans fed, got to take bookings.
And for me, like, it kind of like knocked the wind out of me because I would imagine the way that AKA passed, like the whole world saw that, right? And you're saying, I have to keep pushing. I have to keep giving the fans what they want and take bookings.
During
How, ma'am?
Babe, because nobody's here to save you. Nobody's
there. Is that like
a
financial decision, or is it a...
I was forced to go back to work a month after. The only thing I could do is take a month to just not be in the space. So imagine me being back outside a month later. That was not by choice. If it was up to me, I would have stayed inside for like the whole year. But at the end of the day, I have salaries to pay. I've got bills to pay. I've got all these things that I need to do as a human being because I'm a self-sufficient woman. I don't have the luxury of just chilling, you know? And during that time, I had a lot of help also. I had a lot of help financially from people. Like my friends pulled through and said, babe, don't worry, take this month, babes. We'll help you with your bills and whatever the case is. And that made it a lot easier. But I had to take these bookings again. I had to get back in when I didn't want to.
Yeah.
And I was a mess, eh? When I went back, it was probably not a good idea, but I had no choice. I was a mess. And you know, like, that's why the Bragacy is so, like, freaking amazing, because they gave me so much grace. They protected me. Like, there was a time I was at Rockets. I think Rockets must have been that first weekend I went back. And I got so shit-faced drunk. I was a mess. And people wanted, I was on stage, I was doing too much, and people wanted to take videos, and my friends were asking people, please don't take videos, and they completely understood immediately. They weren't fighting. They were like, oh, okay, no, okay, I get it, it's fine. They completely understood.
Yeah.
They understood, okay, no, this girl's not fine. We get why she's not fine. I'm not about to record her and post that on social media so people can see that she's not fine.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I find so crazy about it all, because on social media, you get so many trolls and haters that you think that's what everybody's about on social media. Nah, dog, there's really good people out there still that have empathy, that have hearts, that have, you know, sense, a mind. You know, they're not stupid.
Yeah.
And I got to experience those people. I got to experience those people on social media. I didn't just experience trolls and haters. I experienced people that have love in their hearts.
Yeah.
On social media. And I was just like, guys, social media is not that bad, actually. Because you need to find, they're there. You need to just find them. Because I found them. I found them. I saw them. I spoke to them. They spoke to me. So that's when I was just like, oh my gosh, shucks. The fact that they were like giving me grace in those moments was crazy. Like I said, I got more grace from people I don't even know than I did from my own family.
Yeah.
During the hardest time of my life, which is crazy.
Did you or do you feel some resentment, especially towards, like, you have no choice but to be in the public? So it's not like you can be like, oh, sorry guys, I have a personal issue, and go grieve on your own. Like, we're watching you at the memorial service. We're watching you now be like, what's the album going to be about?
Yeah.
So, because also it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you don't speak about this great loss that you just had, then it's going to be like, oh, then she never loved him. Then if you do speak about it, it's weird. So do you feel some resentment around experiencing this part of your life in public?
Yeah. See, that's the thing, and I speak to Bianca about this a lot, because I spoke to her a lot, because I feel like she was the only other person that could understand what I was going through, losing someone that was such a monumental person in the country, that, like, you can't go anywhere without someone saying something. And we will always say, like, we don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, because sometimes there's no day you don't think about this person in your life. But sometimes you don't have, like, as me or as B, when someone comes up to us, sometimes we don't have the energy to give you that time. You know what I mean? Because it's sore. But we also know it's sore for you. Yeah. And the only way you can express it is to actually talk to me when you see me about this, and have to give you grace in those moments. But you don't know if it's keeping the wound open for longer, or if it's healing the wound. Like, it's such a weird place to be in, you know? Because you don't know, like, if this person was a complete stranger and no one talked to you about him again, and it was just like you and your immediate family that would speak about missing this person, is that better? Or is that not better? Is it a blessing to have so many people wanting to talk about this person with you? It's a mind warp. Like, I don't know. I really don't know if it made it better or worse, you know? And it's just the only thing I'm grateful for, is that everybody that did come up to me were respectful. Yeah. They weren't trying to be, like, other than this one guy. But I was with my friends, and they did protect me, because he felt entitled to talk to me about Keenan. And that day was in my period of where I was drinking a lot, and I just was a mess. And I was just like, and I was so respectful in the moment. I just said, okay, I gave you your time, but now you weren't, like, eventually you have to leave. You have to, like, give me space. But now it's like he wanted to sing the songs, going down the escalator and whatever. And he followed me all the way, because now we're trying to go to the car. Now we have to stall, because I don't want him to follow me to the car. Yeah. And he's not. And then when I told him, I was like, okay, my dear, you can stop following us. Then he started swearing at me, because it's like, you can't tell me not to talk about AKA and Yeah. And that was the only one person that did that. And that was the one that I was just like, you just drunk yourself also. But like, I've never experienced people who felt entitled to my time. That's why I always used to give them grace, because they came very respectfully and and I could see it was out of love and caring and concern. But I don't know. You know what it is? I don't think I ever want to have a public relationship again. I've always been like, my friends laugh at me. It's like, oh, when are you on a TikTok boyfriend? You know, I've always been that girl that wants to do like really cute stuff with my boyfriend. Yes. Oh my gosh, posting cute pictures. Oh my gosh. I've always been that type of girl that loves loud and is loved loud. Like, it's always reciprocal. This time around, I'm so okay. Yeah. Because I meet you, I fall in love with you, and then you're gonna die? No.
It's gonna happen for all of us.
What? No, I can't. No, I'm sorry. Keenan really hit me with a big one. A bomb. I never thought about it. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing that anymore. I don't need a TikTok boyfriend. I do want to fall in love again. But if I don't, I'm grateful that I experienced the type of love that I did. I feel like, it was once in a lifetime. And if I can't reciprocate it or amplify it, I'm okay. Like, I'm good. I just want to see if I'm going to have to freeze my eggs or something, because I'm going to have to get like a sperm donor at some point, because I do want kids. But what I wanted before is not necessarily what I thrive for every day. Yeah. I'm lonely, but I'll be fine. I'll find someone one day in the future.
You definitely will find someone. And if you want to be a donor, go into the comments.
Let me know.
I went to this workshop where these podcasters were saying like this line that I'll never forget. They were saying, when you do get on the mic, you need to speak from your scars and not from your wounds. And I was like, okay.
That's profound.
Yeah, because
I like that though.
Your wounds, you're bleeding on all of us. You're not healed. You're not.
But I made this album while I was bleeding. But
now it's
a scar,
right? Like
it's getting there. Yeah, it's I'm good. Like, I don't know what healed looks like, but I don't cry as much as I did.
Yeah,
and a lot of the memories now make me smile and not make me resentful and angry at God. So it's looking up, which is great. But when I did this album, when I picked up that mic, I was bleeding all over the place.
Yeah.
I was nowhere near healed. I was bleeding. It was just like, and also because of the people that I had in the workshops or the boot camps, I had to explain to them how I felt in order for them to write. Because I needed them to write from my perspective.
Yeah.
So I had to explain, this is how I feel, and this is what I was feeling, and I was upset with God, and I thought God turned his back on me, and I hated everybody, and I almost wanted to kill myself, but I knew I can't go do that because I won't be where he is, and now I'm asking what's happening in the spiritual land, and I'm having these dreams, and I have to tell them about the dreams that I'm having. Yeah, it was it was a lot. It was a lot. This project was very draining, and I people are like, oh, working on the album, was it healing? No. It was heavy. It was heavy, it was hard, and that's why I didn't want to make it a tribute album anymore as well, because everywhere I go now I have to talk about my pain and my grief, and no, I don't want to
do you have a plan for that? Because I mean, you just put out an album, so do you have a plan of like, I'm only going to do 5 interviews, or I'm only going to do whatever?
Yeah,
because then at some point it's like, okay, now we need to talk about other things, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, but the album is not a tribute album anymore. Like, when you listen to it, you can hear that it's an album. It's no longer the direction that I was going, because when I dropped Never Leave and I realized that it's too heavy for my soul, I said I can't do a tribute album. Now I must push a whole album and talk about my pain and my grief every interview, everywhere I go.
Yeah.
No, like, me being able to talk like this is reserved for people like you, people that I know. But like, when I'm doing YFM or News 24, or nah, you ain't getting that, babes. You're talking about the album and that's it. You're not gonna get that part of me. It's because I don't. Even when, like, if I don't know you and I'm talking to you about this, I feel like, why am I talking to you?
Yeah.
Like, why am I talking to you about this? Like, no, it's reserved for like Ayanda MVP. If I'm on YFM and Ayanda's interviewing me, I'll give her what I'm giving you now. But if it's someone that I don't know, I don't want to do it just because my album is a tribute album and you're entitled to me explaining to you my pain.
Yeah.
No.
I get that.
No.
Before you put out this album, I think you also put out Umfazi, right? And I feel like the reception to that was like, we've never heard you like this. What's up? So tell me about that song and creating it. And like, did it make you feel like, yeah, my creative juices are flowing? I feel, yeah.
It was exciting because, you know, I'm a hip hop artist, but I feel like I'm an artist. And I love 3-step. I love piano. I love drum. But it's all I've been hearing also when I'm in the spaces. And there's no way I wasn't going to explore that sound.
Yeah.
And I did. But it's funny, when I was speaking to Slicker here 2-3 days ago, he was telling me he's listening to my album and it's so good. And he was like, oh, but when you dropped Fuzzy, I wasn't quite sure. But then when I heard Fuzzy in the project, it made complete sense. Yes, in context. It made complete sense to him. It's like, yo, now I'm listening to the song. I'm like, damn, actually, this song is the one when I'm listening to it in its entirety of the album. Yeah. And I'm like, that's a great compliment for me. Because, I mean, of course, when I drop it, a lot of people aren't going to be sure because it's not a genre that I normally do. But I enjoyed it. And that's where that Winnie Mandela spirit started coming into my situation.
Yeah.
And then there's another song called Mega that I did. And I literally chant Winnie Mandela on the actual song, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun. It's really fun. Yeah.
I have another question about that, but something just popped into my head.
Okay.
The My Body beat, it mirrors Lemons to Lemonade, right?
Why? You're the second person to say that.
It does sound like
someone said that at the listening session, and that was not intentional.
I think it's because of, again, context, right? Like,
that is
he's
crazy.
kind of in our minds.
Yeah.
So, but when you're just listening to it, so for you guys, it wasn't
Hell
supposed to?
No.
Okay.
And the first time I heard it was at my listening session. Someone said that. They asked me, it's like, oh, My Body, it's like you emulating Lemons to Lemonade. And I'm like, no, I actually need to go listen to the 2 songs again and see what's going on. Because honestly, then I responded to him the same way I'm going to respond to you now, is the fact that, I mean, what school did I come from? I was watched him make music. The reason why I tackled this album this way was because I watched how he tackled his album this way. And also, by the way, when he started his album, he was also dealing with grief. He was also dealing with the loss of his fiancée. So he embodied all his emotions into this project, and I did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
The same way.
Yeah.
Not with the same people, but literally that's how I did it. And I learned that from him, because that's not how I did Nadia Naked at all. It was completely chalk and cheese. So I think because of that, that spirit thing comes in again. Because, you know, when you have these lucid dreams, I had this lucid, when I worked on like the songs like Umfazi or whatever, I had a lucid dream and I could hear the song. I could hear myself rapping on a song, and he was in the room with me. And when I woke up, it felt like it actually happened.
Yeah.
And then that's when I was like, I'm doing this. You know, like, I'm doing this. And I feel like, you know, I don't know how true it is, because like I'm still exploring the spiritual realm and who has the answers really. But I'm just like, I feel like I got guided a lot by my spirit that most likely was, hopefully was him, you know, also guiding me and showing me the way of things, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, why did my throat just get like oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Okay. So back to Umfazi.
Yes.
What I wanted to say is, I feel like here there's this line about you taking down names. Do you remember what you say after?
Taking down, I be taking down names. Hey, tell them for sec to their face. Hey.
And then I was like, surely that's Annie.
No. No, that's
and you know me, I'm not spicy.
I know.
But
that makes sense though.
This season of your Netflix show.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something that you unlocked in this season where you were like, I am actually tired and I'm actually going to be myself.
Yeah.
And whoever can get it will get it. Like, today is not the day.
Yeah.
And I think for the most part, we saw you and Annie, like, I think she was wrong on a lot of things.
She was psycho.
Sure, not my words. But for me, like, that line specifically made me think of that. So were you writing during this reality show process? And is it for her or is it for everybody?
It was for everybody. That song came out before we even shot the video. Also shot the series, I think. Or maybe it didn't, but I'd completed it.
Okay.
So it wasn't for Annie. But during that process of the reality show, like when people always show that snippet of where I lose it and you can hear my voice breaking, they're like, oh, we saw your grief. I said, no, you guys didn't see my grief. You saw my grief when Kanye visited me and I cried on the couch. That was my grief. That was my frustration. That was my anger. And it had solely to do with Annie. I wasn't being irrational because I'm grieving.
Yeah.
No, but the mentality of not giving a damn definitely happened then, because we started shooting that show probably like 3 or 4 months after Keenan passed or something like that. I remember them contacting me and saying, babes, do you think you'll be strong enough to do the show? And I'm like, no, I'll be fine, I'll do it. But I was in that period of like not sure if I want to live or die. You know, so I had no inhibitions, I had no reservations, I had no zero fucks to give about absolutely anything. I mean, I was still respectful and I was still like, you know, I'm not expecting you to take my pain and onto you or like feel sorry for me or hold me kitty gloves. But one thing I'm not going to do is condone bad behavior.
Yeah.
Like, no. Before I would have been quiet. And also, I think Kanye not being there, because Kanye, I've always been like that, but Kanye always used to reel me in. Even like you'd be seeing her saying, Nadia, relax. And I'll just be like, okay. She'll like, Nadia, relax. And I'll just like, okay. Kanye wasn't there this season.
Yeah.
So there was no one to reel me in. I was just letting loose and taking down names and telling them, protect their face! Because that's exactly how I am, really. Like, I'm like that. But, you know, there's reservations when you're in media. People are like, oh, Nadia's media trained so well. And it's not even media training. I just know that you need to conduct yourself in a certain way, especially if you're a woman in this industry, because they'll just say you're a bitch or you're difficult to work with or you this or you that. But I think the whole cast got shocked when I had that breakdown, because they were like, we didn't notice what was going on.
Yeah.
You know, they realized it was more than the show. You know, like, okay, you guys are here doing whatever the hell you want to do. But at the end of the day, this person is hurting real people. And she's hurting herself also. She's not okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit and watch her walk in destruction. I could have easily walked in destruction. I feel like I had every right to be causing the most drama, but I didn't. And I'm not saying you have to be like me, but also let's not pretend you're not doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Be accountable for your actions. And that's how I've decided to be going forward.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that, Nadia. Yeah. And I guess it's that thing of like speaking from your scars and not your wounds. And I think for me, like it kind of cemented, a lot of the time you watch reality TV and it's like, it's scripted reality TV, and okay, yeah, this is orchestrated or whatever. But that specific moment when you guys were with Kifilo as well felt like genuine. If I see you tomorrow, I will say the same thing.
Yeah.
Constantly. It felt like that. So I think then maybe the next logical question is like, where to from here, right? Like you just put out this album. For you, is it music? Are you going back into TV? Like what's your...
So music. The reality show, the one that I do with MTV called Beyond Braga.
Yes.
There's so many things going on. I'm Beyond Braga, so working on that new season. But music. I'm manifesting traveling a lot more this year. I want to be out of the country as much as possible. I want to see the world. I want to open my eyes to new things, and already it's happening. So, I mean, I have a few international trips coming up now. Nice. So manifestation is a real thing. Things are working out for me. I say it every morning. Things are working in my favor. And
things
are
you
working
can
in my
Jesus.
favor.
Fine.
100%. And now there's a the right person right next to Jesus called Keenan Forbes. Yeah, so I was like, hey, babe, so, you know, can you match fix this for me, hey? Like, can you just match fix and just make it together? you
sound like such a South African. Like, everywhere we go, we want to corrupt.
Yeah, even in spirituality, just, you know. Honestly, so yeah, there's more music. And also unlocking parts of me that I never did before, like my music video and dancing and doing choreography. I really want to push myself to do things that I never thought I could do before, or kind of box myself into doing before.
Yeah. And I have no doubt like you'll excel at all of it, because you always do.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming and
welcome.
Hanging out. It's so nice to see you. It's nice to hear you back on the mic.
Thank you.
And yeah, you've just been super interesting. So
Thanks.
thank you for coming to.
You're welcome.
This is Nadia Nakai. I'm Helen Herimbi-Moremi, and this has been a Helen Herimbi-Moremi podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.